So, what made you get into tech?
Oh, so a fun fact is that originally when I was living in Nigeria, about 5 years old, I my boarding school was donated a laptop for some of the students to use. So that was
Nice,
actually my first time actually using a computer and
nice.
playing the games on it. So at that age, I really was just excited about the internet connectivity and
Yeah,
learning about how it works.
yeah,
Then as I progressed through high school,
yep.
it was my computer science teacher that kind of pushed me to pursue STEM.
Okay,
And also being Nigerian, my parents, it's inevitable. There's either two different paths to consider.
yeah,
I ultimately chose tech because I wanted to be the rebel in my family,
okay,
while all my other siblings chose the health field.
yep.
So when I got to undergrad, I decided to major in computer information systems because I really like the business and technical aspects
Gotcha.
and being able to intertwine it to help the business progress.
Hey, what's up, fam? This is Lebbie, host of Africans in Tech, where we're building bridges and shaping futures in tech. On our pod today, we got Rubena, Miss Bina, on deck. I pinged her on Instagram just like I did everybody else, and we played tag for a little bit because she's a traveler.
Yeah.
And then she got back, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to do the pod." So here she is. Rubina, do you go by Rubina or Bina?
Either or is fine,
Okay,
actually. Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna call Bina because it's a little
Just
short.
learn
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
All right. So Bina, usually what we do is just have guests just introduce themselves. Nothing technical, just where they're from, a little bit about themselves. So tell the people who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rubena Uyeh. I just graduated from Georgia State University, a recent alumni now. And I studied computer information systems during my time in college. And I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, but my lungs breathe Nigeria.
There we go.
And I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Very welcome. Nigeria. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you gone back?
Yes. And I
Okay.
just booked my flight today for December.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The
Dirty December.
festivities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you go back often?
I don't actually because I was in school.
Gotcha.
The last time I was there was in 2021.
Okay. You literally just graduated yesterday, you said? Okay.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome. And what'd you study again?
I studied computer information systems
Okay.
with a dual concentration in cybersecurity and data analytics.
Nice, nice. And I found you actually on Instagram. I think you had like women in tech, women in cyber as a hashtag in one of
Yes.
your reels. So
Awesome.
dope, dope.
That's cool to know. I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah, them tags come through, man. So what made you get into tech?
Oh, so a fun fact is that originally when I was living in Nigeria, about 5 years old, my boarding school was donated a laptop for some of the students to use. So that
Nice,
was actually my first time actually using a computer and
nice.
playing the games on it. So at that age, I really was just excited about the internet connectivity and
Yeah,
learning about how it works.
yeah,
Then as I progressed through high school,
yep.
it was my computer science teacher that kind of pushed me to pursue STEM.
Okay,
And also being Nigerian, my parents, it's inevitable. There's either two different paths to consider.
yeah,
I ultimately chose tech because I wanted to be the rebel in my family,
okay,
while all my other siblings chose the health field.
yep.
So when I got to undergrad, I decided to major in computer information systems because I really like the business and technical aspects
Gotcha.
and being able to intertwine it to help the business progress.
Okay. What do your parents do?
My dad, what did my dad do? He did like business management.
Okay,
And my mom was a lawyer back home in Nigeria.
okay,
So my dad was fortunate enough to come to the US and then later bring my mom over. And
gotcha.
so that's how we kind of made ends meet here.
Nice, nice. Okay. I make a joke often, I think, on my Instagram where I talk about like Africans like you could be a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you're like a failure. Was that the kind
Yeah.
of household for you?
That was just the standard.
Okay.
There was really no other push to any other areas.
Yeah.
But it was also seeing our parents struggle. It was only right to do something that might provoke stability.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so you came here when you were 5. Were your parents like in and out of like Nigeria or?
Yes. So
Okay.
my dad was here for at least 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
One of my sisters were able to come over with him here, but my mom and the rest of my siblings, we were still in Nigeria for some time until my dad could actually afford to get a house and move us over.
Nice. What was your experience like in Nigeria? Do you remember? Because I remember you were 5. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a common debate. I have been Americanized, I would say.
Okay.
But as far as the last time I went back, I felt really in touch with my culture and wanting to learn more about it.
Nice.
And that's also something that kind of pushed me to do technology as well, because all the innovations that are coming up could really help our society, especially with all the political instability.
Yep.
And it's just now in these couple of years that Afrobeats has put Niger on the market, but we should also be on the market for other things. And I really think it's those technological innovations.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sidebar, do you cook?
Do I cook?
Yeah.
Is that a question?
It is a question.
No, it's not. Okay, so there you have to cook in my household. I guess we would have started cooking. I don't know. When did I start cooking? I think maybe around. I used to help my mom in the kitchen when we were in Nigeria, but it wasn't much more than cleaning and wiping down the stuff. But in the U.S., I've tried to learn to cook some egusi soup and jollof rice.
That's where I was going with that. So what's the best jollof in your eyes? Be serious.
Nigerian jollof.
See, here we go.
Davido just said it in another interview.
Come on, he's biased.
He wasn't being biased, actually. It's so funny. What do you think it is?
Sierra Leone. That's where I'm from. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever tried Sierra Leone.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. You got to try it, man. Yeah, you got to try it.
Nice.
Next time on the pod, I'll make sure that we'll have a Sierra Leone dish.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Cool. All right, to get back to it a little bit. All right, so you came here when you were 5, and then, your dad and mom kind of like helped steered you like in the right direction, and you sort of had 2 lanes, healthcare or be in the technical space.
Yes.
So anyone else that kind of led you towards the technical space specifically, or you just kind of broke the mold?
I want to emphasize the power of mentorship, because it also came through reaching out to people, especially on LinkedIn, to kind of pinpoint what area of technology that I wanted to go into.
Okay.
So I want to shout out my mentor, Miss Stephanie.
Okay.
Hailing from Chicago at PepsiCo.
Shout out Miss Stephanie.
I just want to say thank you very much if you put this in the podcast.
Definitely.
I just want to say thank you very much. It really helped strengthen my understanding about where I want to go in life and what ways I can provide impact.
That's awesome. When did you meet Miss Stephanie?
I met Miss Stephanie 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yes. So when I was an undergrad, I knew I should come here for computer science, tech, but it's so broad, and I didn't really know how I could apply my skills or what would bring out the best in me.
Gotcha.
So she really introduced me to the idea of like tech consulting, and also IT audit.
Okay.
So I like being able to meet with people and discuss with them how they can, improve their risk.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Is she in tech as well?
Yeah, she is. She does cybersecurity as well.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's awesome. I think one thing we always talk about is like the power of mentorship, like getting somebody to kind of, guide you, because like you said, it's, the tech space is so broad. Even from a cybersecurity perspective, like there's so many different lanes that you can specialize in, whether, you're black hat or white hat, whether you're doing SIM technologies, whether you're, from a compliance standpoint, there's so many different things you can do. So that's dope that you got somebody to kind of guide you. What did your parents think?
My parents?
Yeah, because well, no, not just your mentor, but in terms of like, you broke the mold, right?
Yes. My dad wanted me to do tech. He really did push it. And even now he wants me to get really knowledgeable about artificial intelligence.
Nice.
Since the whole world is starting to pivot into that direction. But overall, they were happy.
Nice.
It wasn't more like I was forced to go down that path.
Yeah.
But they always emphasize how it's probably the best option. And even now, I'm still happy that they provided that structure to push me into that direction.
Yeah.
And ultimately, through mentorship and just reaching out to people, I was able to figure out what path worked for me
Yeah, awesome. Shout out to good parenting. I mean, that's
Yes.
dope. What were things that you were doing, I guess, initially when you got into the tech space?
Okay,
Yeah.
so realistically, the emphasis was always about stability. So
Okay.
I was really looking at the salary,
Okay. Okay.
and that's where I went wrong.
Okay.
I felt that there was a lot of push towards software engineering, so I just kind of went with that.
Okay.
And I found that I didn't really like what I was doing and the stuff that I was learning. I
Gotcha.
wasn't able to articulate what I was doing in those coding interviews, especially when it came to leak code.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as I looked more into other ways that I could be impactful, which is something that I think when I'm looking for work, I want the work that I'm doing meaningful and actually helping the business. So I think it was kind of, I don't know. I kind of like the consulting aspect, being
Okay.
able to talk to people. And while I might be at a computer all day, I'm also talking with different teams
Okay.
and learning about the business cycle from a bird's eye view as
Yeah.
opposed to just working on more tedious tasks on the back end.
Okay.
So that was just my preference overall.
Gotcha. And I could be completely wrong, but I mean, just from talking with you, like you seem more like the shy type. So how does that work with like, because consulting is like you got to be in front of people, you got to
Yeah.
like be able to speak and like I don't necessarily say like people friendly, but you sort of got to be that way.
Yeah.
Like how was that for you?
So even now, it's something that I'm learning to push through.
Okay.
So I do struggle with social anxiety,
Okay.
and even networking has been hard for me because I always like to be intentional with anything that I do.
Yeah.
So over time, I've just made sure to put myself out there by, going to different networking sessions. So at least finding at least 5 people to talk to before I leave.
Yeah.
Figure out and learn about the person and also have them know a fun fact about me or any way that I could help them in their journey.
Yeah.
So as an intern, most of my work experience has been watching the higher people on my team talk and also assisting them as they go into these meetings with the stakeholders or
Yeah.
some of the external partners.
Yeah.
But I have been able to strengthen my communication skills
Nice.
because I've helped them lead meetings. And ultimately, I've been able to communicate my findings just watching them talk, some things they might have looked over because they were talking during the meeting.
Yeah.
So I would say with consulting in general, it is not as simple as it seems. And that was one of the main things I struggled with during my internship at Deloitte.
Yeah.
I do like to be intentional, but I also don't like small talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going up to people and hearing them talk about certain topics, especially those
Yeah.
who might not be African American or kind of relate to what I'm talking about, it can seem very like fake and inauthentic,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
kind of against my character.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I am out of my shell, I'm outgoing. When
Yeah.
I feel confident about something that I'm talking about, most people can't see past my social anxiety.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, you'll be surprised. A lot of people struggle with it. Myself, I I'm sort of like you, so I don't like to do like public speaking in front of a bunch of people. If it's a subject that I know well, I don't really care. If it's a subject that I don't know well, I can still probably fake the funk, but it's
Yeah.
not my specialty.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So I get you in that. So I'm working on it just as you are. So we'll keep pushing through.
Who would have thought? I literally was sitting in my head like,
Yeah.
wow, I bet he networks with everybody.
No.
I must love him. Very calm and collected, soothing voice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, my wife tells me that I'm like an extrovert. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I worked at it. It's the same way with from a technical perspective. Like the more and more you work at something, and the more and more you kind of push through your fears and like your doubts and stuff like that, like you get better at it.
Yeah.
So over time, that's one thing I'll encourage you. The more and more you keep doing it, you're gonna be fine. Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool. So you're doing consulting a little bit. Well, actually, before we get into you actually consulting, your mentor, Miss Stephanie, said, "Hey, do consulting," and then you kind of pivoted. What did that look like when you said you pivoted?
So when I met Miss Stephanie, it was actually because I joined a mentorship program.
Okay.
And she was I was interested about cybersecurity, and that's what I put on my application.
Okay.
So the main thing that she told me is ask your manager to do things. So one of the things is public speaking and being able to talk with these people. She emphasized, ask him if I could explain stuff during a meeting.
Yeah.
And that really helped me because it got me more comfortable with talking to people. But most importantly, before those meetings occurred, I made sure that I understood what was going on. And through that, I was just able to learn how to talk about technical topics to people who might not be so technical.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. She also told me to make sure I start networking with people at each of these events.
Yep.
Just, hey, introduce yourself, and just try to make the connection meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what your long term is, and we'll probably get into that later. But I think that's great advice because as you continue to grow your network, as you probably already knows your net worth, so the more and more people you encircle yourself with that are doing high level things. For me, over the last 10 years, have been, I've talked about this on a few podcasts, but I've gotten like $250,000 plus offers because people I know, and they just like, they're just like, hey, would you be interested in doing this role? You're one of the best splunkers, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. So as long as you do well and wherever you're at, and then you network with good individuals, they'll push you through. So definitely keep that up. So it's definitely something that helped me out a long way. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so you're sort of like getting into the consulting space a little bit. What year was this that you met Miss Stephanie?
I met 2023.
2023. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were a sophomore?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then your first internship was when?
It was my sophomore year going into my junior year.
Okay.
So that summer, I think 2023, 2024, 2023, summer 2023.
Okay. And this was with Deloitte?
This was with the City of Atlanta, AIM.
Okay. How'd you like that?
It wasn't my favorite internship.
Okay.
But at the time, I just wanted to get an internship.
Gotcha.
Normally, internships are reserved for, juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
So I kept trying to apply just to get my foot in the door, and luckily got something.
Nice. Was it paid?
It was paid.
Nice.
It was
nice.
only $16 an hour,
Hey.
and it was fully remote, though.
Yeah.
So I still thought I was making bank. I never had a job
you were.
before. That's kind of bank for a sophomore. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I never really worked because I've been in school, and that's always been the main focus.
Yeah.
So when I got the internship, it was also learning about work-life balance and stuff, and also seeing how to be a good intern or be an exceptional intern, because some people just come and do the basic, but I also had to think outside the box.
Yeah. Just talking with you right now, you're wise beyond your years, like in terms of applying yourself and making sure that you kind of set yourself apart. Like, I don't know whether it's because of your background, your family, because Nigerians, I know that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So, that's really dope. Continuing that path, because like that's going to help you go far for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so you're doing City of Atlanta internship, and then how'd you even like find that?
My first internship, it was through looking at the newsletter that my school sends out.
Okay.
I also got really close with one of the faculty members. So I was on an organization for the club that she charted on our campus.
Okay.
And she just sent it to me and said, hey, take a chance and apply.
Gotcha.
And that's ultimately what got me that connection for my first internship.
Nice. And what were you doing again?
I was on the server engineering team.
Okay.
So I was a cyber information management intern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I did a lot of mock trials as our organization was switching from legacy systems to cloud-based software, so AWS.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Nice. That's gonna come in handy. Yeah, that migration work is definitely gonna come in handy. Okay. All right. So how long did you do that for?
I did that for 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah, my internship was from June to September. It actually got extended a month for I was doing good work, and also I technically wasn't finished with my project, so they wanted me to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was 40 hours a week?
Was it 40? Yes, it was 40, yeah.
Nice. No, that's really, really good. Okay. So that was sophomore to junior year, right? You said?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then junior year, How was that? And then did you do any other internships?
Yeah, my junior year, going into senior year, that's when I got my second internship, and that was with Deloitte.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I was on their risk and financial advisory team, and I was doing IT audit and assurance.
Nice.
So I was working on closing risks for some of their IT controls, so
Okay.
Google Cloud Platform, Calyx, Blackline, and also making sure that this specific partner on the engagement I was working on were they were in line with some of the standards, so the SOX
Yeah. Yeah.
audits and
Yep.
things of that nature.
Gotcha.
And my final internship, which was most recently this past December, I joined HP Inc. As a cybersecurity supply chain intern.
Gotcha.
And I just concluded that internship last Friday.
Okay.
So this had to be my most favorite internship simply because
Nice.
of the team that I was working on.
Okay.
And for once I could actually articulate the work that I was doing.
Nice.
Like being able to understand the process.
Okay.
And if someone asked me, hey, what did you do in this internship? I could kind of actually confidently say what I did.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So you felt like you can do that with the Atlanta gig?
So because it was remote, our team definitely were going through situations where there was tension between people on the team. And I was the only girl on that team. It was
Okay.
actually older gentlemen, so
Okay.
at least 40 plus on that server.
Oh, you're gonna
engineering
talk
team.
about that.
Yeah, so also I'm a sophomore. I haven't even taken my cyber classes yet. The most I've taken is English 1101 and 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was going into a completely new environment where a bunch of technical verbiage was being thrown at me. So I didn't understand, and quite frankly, I might have just been zoned out during the meetings, but still trying to take
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with my second internship, Deloitte is very fast paced. I think Fortune 100 company.
Yeah.
And my team, you could be working on multiple engagements and stuff. So
Yep.
people, a lot of times the availability of people can be very limited.
Yep.
And as an intern, that affected me because I might have needed their help with tasks or just specific questions. And I felt like I might have been kind of thrown under the bus.
Oof.
And also, vulnerably speaking, with that internship, I feel that I was just being handed all the tedious work that none of the other people on my team wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was a big learning aspect for me in that role entirely.
Gotcha.
But I did learn about the processes of what goes into IT audit.
Gotcha.
And I love my most recent internship with HP. I already said that, didn't I?
No, not with HP. I think we
Okay.
talked about Deloitte, but okay.
So HP stood out to me because one, my team, I knew them more. I knew more about my team outside of work.
Okay.
Even though I worked fully remote.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the fact that I worked in person during Deloitte and I didn't get that impact, that kind of told me all I needed to know.
Gotcha.
Although I had received an offer from them at the end.
Okay.
But with HP, the work that I did was meaningful. I was able to co-author our cybersecurity supply chain white paper.
Nice.
Which goes to all the stakeholders who are considering using HP products at their businesses. So it's a big deal. It's one of the first documented forms that they received.
Nice.
Basically outlining how our cybersecurity infrastructure is resilient and all the innovations that we have that are in each of these products as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm smelling like a proud pops. Good
Yeah.
job. Good work. That's good. Okay. So you did that with HP, and do you keep in contact with any of like your former coworkers or anything like that?
I do not.
Okay.
So I hate to make things about race and stuff.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, on previous or even the age gap. So my first internship, the age gap was the most prominent things. I mean, I check up on them here and there on LinkedIn, say, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Hope all is well. But at the same time, I don't know how to talk to someone who might be exiting their career and stuff.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then in my second internship, there's just some type of connection that can be missed when you're dealing with, how do I say white Americans? Like
White Americans?
Okay, I don't want to say anything too controversial. When working with white Americans, there's a lot of different personas of how they understand the black woman works and how they carry themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it just stems back to what I was saying previously. I'm not really good with small talk,
Yeah.
so they might start talking about how their grandma just got a cat, and I don't know how to connect. I'll just listen and nod my head and say, "Yeah,
Yeah.
okay," but I have trouble forming that meaningful connection
Right.
just due to the environment that I'm most used to.
Gotcha.
But that's still also an area of improvement for me,
Yeah.
being able to work with different people and not just basing it based off of their ethnicity or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you said white Americans, are you talking about mostly males or females or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, I've never been in your scenario or in your shoes or in that scenario, but we've had others who kind of talked about like having to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand how difficult that can be. So gratefully, you were able to pass through that, and now you experience that and you can talk about it, and hopefully if you go into situations like that you're able to handle it better.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, as much as I want to sugarcoat it, say you will never experience that again, there's a likelihood that you probably will, but being able to handle that, I think that's kind of what your early years are preparing you for, and hopefully since your parents are looking for you to
Oh,
kind of be leveled up, you start
yeah.
your own company, and then you hire us one day, hopefully.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah. Okay. So you experience like some of like the worst parts of like the tech space. I know we talk about the money and we glamorize it a bit. Did that kind of like deter you at all in terms of like staying in the tech space? Did you think about this is not for me at all, or did you just feel like it was just an experience?
No, I think once I narrowed it down to tech,
Yeah.
I knew that was for me.
Okay.
I love nurses, I love doctors, but I just can't care for people in that aspect and be in school for that long.
Yeah.
And I'm also logical. I wanted something that was quick, concise,
I
something
like
I
that.
can multitask because I'm really entrepreneurial in mindset. So although I want to pursue tech, I want the tech to be equally distributed in my different business ventures. And
Gotcha.
also, I don't see myself being a doctor for a long time or just any other career, honestly.
Yeah. No, the reason I asked that also is because people will be people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Regardless of what field you go into, you're going to face that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who've jumped out of the tech space because they say, well, I face this, I face that. I was like, well, you're going to face that
Yeah.
almost anywhere you go. So
I feel like tech, you just get a return on investment with that one.
yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah. So what's like your number? Like, what do you feel like, oh, I got to make this?
my number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So as a entry level person in the career, I would relatively say 80,000, but of course
Okay.
that would depend on different variables, so
Okay.
location and whatnot. I say 80,000 just because I believe in my agency and autonomy and how I can contribute, but
Yeah.
also it just depends on experience. So maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, I would be expecting a six-figure salary.
Yeah.
But I think there's a common misconception that undergraduate people want to start making six figures right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, dream big, but also, like I said, I want to be logical.
Yeah.
And some people feel like they're failing if they're not making that.
Yeah.
And also, I feel that if I start off with a salary of about $80,000, I also learn how to maximize my budget and spending. Some people get their first shot at 100K and don't know how to manage it.
Yeah.
So when you have less, well, I don't even want to say 80,000 is less money. That's pretty decent. But when you have a stable income like that, I feel like that's I should be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, again, not tooting your horn, but you got a really good mindset because in terms of, you've already had good experience, like you've done internships, and then it's not like you're coming like a noob into the workspace, but then you're also about to get your master's, so you're gonna get out with a master's degree
Yeah.
into the workforce. So Me personally, I think you can definitely get six figures.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you're okay with, taking less, that's dope. I started my career, I think my first tech job, I was making 85 base and like 10K.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and I was like, shoot, that's good for me.
Wait, when did you graduate? What year was that?
Oh, long time ago. She dated me now, bro.
So that was a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot at that
Yeah.
time, though.
Well, so I graduated in 2003 for undergrad. Actually, no, I went to graduate from high school 2003. I went
Nice.
to undergrad, graduated from undergrad in 2009, and then graduate school took a little bit of time, and then graduated from grad school 2013. And I did kinesiology because I was actually healthcare. I did kinesiology and I did cardiopulmonary for grad school.
What is that?
It's like study the heart and like
Oh,
just
nice.
stress tests and
Heart
things like that.
doctor.
Yeah. So I thought I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to be a neurosurgeon. Oh nah, I didn't like blood.
Oh gosh.
So that was not gonna work. But anyway, once I finished that, my boy kind of wrote me in. Shout out to Des. I always tell him that. Into tech. He's like, yeah, you want to do a Linux course? Blah blah blah. So this was 2015. And then I got my first gig. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, 2015. I got my first gig. I did some Linux internships and some other stuff before. And shout out to Yano as well. And my first gig, mind you, a bunch of others at the time were getting like 120, 130K like entry level job, not entry, but like mid level jobs. Just because
Okay.
back then tech was like, if you had a cert,
True.
and like it wasn't as hot as it is now. If you had a cert and you knew a little bit of stuff, I mean, it was like that. You get picked up like that.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's like you got to have like, you got to know like data science. You got to understand like in terms of micro services architecture,
Yeah.
cloud. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
just to make six figures is crazy. So then making like 85 for me, I was like, oh shit, I'm good. And I always knew kind of like my projection where I wanted to be. And the first 2 years, I just grinded. I mean, my wife would tell you like I stayed up to like 2, 3 in the morning. I took extra tickets just to take extra tickets. I did tickets like for the folks in India because we were, geo distributed team. I did their work and I helped them on tickets. I jumped on Zoom calls and stuff like that just to learn. That was
Yeah.
it. I just knew that if I can be an expert at it, I knew it was going to pay off. And now it's definitely paid off.
Nice.
But yeah, I would say the same thing for you. Like the extra work I know sucked, but the fact that you did it, hopefully you learned something from doing that extra work, even though it may seem like just monotonous type stuff.
Yeah.
But it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you to do the things that others don't want to do, and that's what's going to help you to surpass them.
Right.
Yeah, because now
That's a good perspective.
I'm telling you now, like the folks I started with, no shade, but I'm making probably 6, 7 times more than them. But at
Love
the end of
to
the day,
hear
it's
it.
it's I put into work. I mean,
Yeah.
I was grinding. I was grinding hard. So as long as you grind hard and there's money in this space, as you already know. So anyway, hopefully that helps out.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
So, there's different areas of technology. So,
Yep.
someone who is not on the technical side, what would you say the salary range should be? So,
Like
entry
long
level,
term?
as in just in getting your undergraduate degree, like your first year or two in the
Are you
market,
talking about yourself or just somebody else
just in general.
in general? I think anywhere from like 65 to like 85 is a good range. If you're getting out, you don't really have any experience with anything. Of course, you've done like maybe 1 or 2 internships and you understand sort of like base level technologies.
Yeah.
I think that's a good start.
Okay.
Focus really on just learning and growing. And then from there, you're going to be able to, level up really quick. A lot of companies are willing to pay to advance you in other areas because there's a lot of job hopping that happens in the tech space.
Yeah.
So you could stay there for 6 months and somebody leaves, you learn their job, and next thing you know, they promote you inside. So yeah. So hopefully that answers it a little bit for you. But for you, just kind of focused on you because you've done all of these things already. And I mean, you have the resume and then you have the history behind it and you have probably a bunch of others that would vouch for you. You can easily probably make like 110, 115 in the tech space. So
You sound like my professor.
yeah, you can easily make that. That's not much for
Sounds good.
Yeah, cool.
Sounds good.
All right. So talk a little bit about money a little bit. So your entry level is you want to make like 80-ish, maybe. Hopefully you get, you start thinking about yourself a little bit more highly and
Yeah.
get to the 110 range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a couple offers. Now I'm like,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
What's the like perfect salary for you long term? Like let's say 5, 10 years from now.
Term,
Yeah.
5 to 10 years.
And it's
I
even in tech.
honestly, I would say, I think I'm trying to be real preserved
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say comfortably maybe like 150,
Okay.
170
Okay.
if I'm really balling for
Are
real.
you modest? Okay. All right. All right.
So I don't like to set my goals too high.
Yeah.
I'm not limiting what I can achieve,
Yeah.
but I like to do little milestones so I
Okay.
don't get disappointed
Gotcha.
because I strive for excellence with everything that I do. So
Nice.
if I don't reach that, it would be disappointing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Hey, what up, fam? This is Lebbie, host of Africans in Tech, where we're building bridges and shaping futures in tech. Just a quick reminder for those who've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can catch all of our content, including our whiteboard sessions, where you'll find our full-length videos on our channel. And hit that notification bell, fam. All right. So you're African woman. Your parents, they expect you to, you must get married.
Yes.
And need children. So what has that been like, that conversation? Has your mom or dad tried to push that?
So the talk of men in my household, it really didn't come about to this year. When I had a little crush and I told my mom,
Yeah.
and I'm halfway to the finish line for
Yeah.
graduation. So
Yeah.
she's like, okay, let me talk about X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
and stuff she never really talked about
Yeah, yeah.
before. So it's funny to hear, mom and dad, if you ever watch this, I'm so sorry. But I would love to be a housewife,
Okay.
but also get to the bag on my own terms as well.
Okay.
So I like the idea of the conservative Nigerian household of,
Yeah.
Catering to the man and also supporting the family. But I'll never lose sight of being an entrepreneur and being in the tech space and have my own things going even outside of the marriage.
Yeah.
So I just really like the idea of the structure.
Yeah. That's dope. Okay. Yeah, I think that's, we can't escape that just because it's who we are. So the fact that, you kind of have that plan already ahead in terms of like what that may look like, that's really good. So prayerfully your knight in shining armor comes around.
Yes. Hopefully he's Nigerian as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Nick, so we're gonna have to find a Nigerian guy that gets on the pod soon.
Nice.
Cool.
Matchmaker. Okay, exciting.
Nah, I can't even take that. Okay, so when it comes to like technologies, like what is something that's challenged you in the tech space where you're like, dang, this thing sucks. It's really hard for me to learn, if anything.
Honestly, one of the things that's a big question mark for me is artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So learning not just about ChatGPT,
Yeah.
but how the whole data process works and how it's compiled. Just the whole mechanism behind it. I mean, I've tried to do like a Google certification thing to learn more about it, but it was really surface level. So that's also something I'm looking to explore as I go to my master's degree. Probably do an AI certificate
Gotcha.
to learn more.
No, that's good. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot of people that know it like in depth. There's a few, not a lot of people I think that really know it in depth that can talk about it like the ins and outs. In a few weeks, there's a guy that's coming on. I think William, bro, forgive me, man, William Hill. I think if I got your last name wrong, my bad, bro. He's a AI specialist. He's been, I think, in that space for I don't know, like last 5 years or so. And he's going to break down like the protocols and stuff like that. And from our standpoint, from a security standpoint, like how to protect against that, protecting against bots and things like that.
I'll be tuning in for that one.
Yeah. So I'm really encouraged to kind of have him talk about that more. And there's a few others, I think Big Papa Code. I know we got to get you scheduled, bro, so that's on me. So he's another guy that's really good. I think his real name's Arthur. He's based in Atlanta. He has like 700,000 plus followers, and he's really good with like AI. Like that's his thing. So my hope is to get folks like that are on the pod that can talk about it
Yeah.
in and out, and how the algorithms work and how compiling works, and how to also protect yourself against rogue, I guess, AI agents, things like that.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so we're getting ready to end the pod in a bit.
Okay.
If people wanted to get in touch with you, actually, before I even go there, 5 years from now, where is Rubena at?
That's a great question. I'm literally redesigning my 3 to 5 year plan
Okay.
because graduation was like the cherry on top.
Okay.
Realistically, I would see myself in at least a managerial position,
Okay.
a higher level. So maybe have a team under me,
Okay.
or working alongside some of the high stakeholders.
Okay.
But aside from like the corporate side, I would see myself with multiple businesses. So
Okay.
having a logistics company, being able to operate different investments, and also look into artificial intelligence. So one of the things I'm really interested in doing is the legislation behind AI and those
Okay.
cybersecurity protocols.
Nice.
And then also philanthropy efforts. So giving back to the community and paying it forward, and also helping people, especially that look like me,
Yeah.
and younger students, find their way into technology.
Nice.
And obtaining those scholarships and going to school and kind of learning a bit earlier on which area of technology to go into, that there's more areas other than software engineering.
Yep.
There's more different skills that you can have. It doesn't have to be centered around coding, even though that should always be known. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is dream life in America or in Nigeria, or what is dream life like?
Dream life,
Yeah.
like where I see myself.
Yeah. And like, let's say, husband, pick a house and all that jazz, like pick a fence and a house and all that jazz. Where do you see that?
I don't think life should be centered around a man.
Well, no, I'm just talking about in terms of like, where do you see yourself like in your perfect scenario? Because you said you want to get married, you want
My
to be a
perfect
housewife.
scenario, yes, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I see myself in a home,
Okay.
cultivated with family nearby, and a very strong network of friends and family that I've gathered along my journey.
Yeah.
I do see myself with a husband. I don't know about kids at this point in time,
Okay.
but I've never been the type to think that I need to live in a mansion or anything like that to be happy. So
Yeah.
I really just promote financial literacy and just having a stable life, having enough to not struggle or be weary about bills and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of saying about generational wealth. So
Yeah.
I do keep that in mind. But in the first 5 years, I think it would just be stable in my lifestyle.
Okay. Well, I guess long term, is it America? Is that like
I would
your
stay in the U.S.
really?
I
Okay.
really would.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Nigeria is scaring me right now.
Okay.
No offense.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of being able to walk out the house and not having a soldier nearby have to walk me through the airport and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any plans to do any work like in Nigeria or in Africa in general?
Yes, I am doing research on cybersecurity posture in Nigeria. So
Nice,
that's
nice.
one of the main one of the programs that I'm working with right now. I can't go into detail,
No worries.
but that's one of the projects that we're working on. So
Okay.
that will be with in coordination with Harvard. So their Cybersecurity Institute.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to use my learnings in that as I go back for my master's as well.
You're doing big things. That's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing big things. Okay. And then you graduated with like $400,000 worth of student debt, right?
$400,000. I graduated with $0
That's what
in
I'm talking
student
about.
debt.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I've been able to get over $170,000 to support my undergrad journey. And the fun fact about that is I'm really scared of debt.
Yeah.
So I push myself to apply for scholarships each week. So at least 3 to 4 scholarships a week.
Nice.
And my main tidbit about that, and it's one of the most commonly asked questions for me, is how do I get all these scholarships? Realistically, I make sure I do a lot of research and only apply for scholarships that directly outline me as a person, are inclusive to me. So maybe women in cyber or Black women in tech. I don't apply for the general scholarships that all the Asians, Hispanics are all applying for, because sometimes there's unconscious bias that goes into that application when you outline that your parents are an immigrant. And that's just what has worked for me.
Yeah. No, it's smart. I mean, limited ratio, smaller ratio. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. So, all right. We've probably gotten to the end of it. So you've done a lot. I'll say that. For being young, you've done a lot.
Thanks.
You know, you should be proud of yourself. And I think the sky's the limit for you. Just keep, progressing up.
Thank you.
You know, mommy and daddy are proud of you. So, so hopefully,
your code switch is phenomenal.
I'm telling you, I'm trying.
Yeah.
So, I think my hope and expectations for you, next 2 to 3 years, you'll come back on a pod.
Okay.
So that you're a senior cybersecurity something.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Let's speak it into existence.
That's what I'm talking about.
You.
So I'm definitely hoping great things for you, and I think you'll do really well. If people wanted to get in touch with you, like either on Instagram or LinkedIn or however, they can get in touch with you, what's the best way?
I would definitely say connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn warrior. Okay. I'm scrolling on LinkedIn at 4 a.m. in the morning. If you do reach out, just be sure to say where you found me from. If it was from the podcast, that'd be great to know. And I'm always open to talking to people. A lot of my experience has been through trial and error. So I'm really pushing for others to not make the same mistake or just be better prepared for their own future. So, yeah.
Awesome. And if you do not shout out the podcast and you got her message from it, you're not a real fan. So please shout us out. All right. Well, Rubena, thank you so much for being on the pod. Guys, she's going to also do a whiteboard session, which is going to be a separate episode. Yay. So definitely tune in for that. And all of her contact information is also going to be on our social media, various platforms. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all that other jazz. So you'll find her information there. And if there's anything else that you want to ask, you can hit us up via email at africansintechnology@gmail.com. Again, that's africansintechnology@gmail.com. Hit us up with any questions that you have, and we'll be sure to answer. Again, my name is Lebbie. Bean, thank you so much for being on. This is Africans in Tech, where we're building bridges and shaping futures in tech. All right, fam.